Hi everyone, welcome to the second part in our series on listening. So last week we gave you 14 great tips, and this week what we want to do is...
So we want to talk about questions, the different questions that you can ask. We're all about the practical, or I am anyway, about, okay, what do we say? What do we do? But different questions you can ask in all sorts of different scenarios. The first scenario, of course, is you're in casual conversation with all sorts of different people. So it's talking about the weather or the kids or work or whatever it is, nothing that deep and meaningful. But to be honest, this is where we spend the bulk of our time in conversation, just talking about the things that matter, but it's on very much a surface level. We think it's good when you're in those situations to ask open-ended questions, to other people. Just try and take it a bit deeper, develop it a bit more. Oh, what was that like? Or tell me more about that. Or, how did that feel? Those sorts of things, which start at least to take it a little bit deeper.
That's good. So start with the casual. Then you want to go a bit more into more meaningful conversations where you uncover the more interesting things that are going on in people's lives. So a few ways into that. If you ask someone, how are you doing? And they go, fine. You could say, oh, why fine? Or maybe if you ask them, how are you doing? And they say, good. You can say, oh, why good? What's happening? So you turn some of the everyday little things we say and go into the deeper there. If someone has got good things happening in their life, things are going well, they love their job, whatever, then maybe say, be pleased for them, but also say, ask them why it's like that. So what is it about you that makes you so good at selling mortgages? Or why is it you're so enjoying being a teacher at this time? And it's that sort of conversation where you just be curious and ask curious questions and draw people out of themselves. The next thing we'd say also, if you want to have more meaningful conversations, is don't be the one with all the answers. Christian, go on.
No, we love to think we know it all.
We do, and people do, and Christians particularly do this, let's be honest. So ask for advice. So, for instance, if we spotted families a bit further on than us who were doing a great job raising their kids, we would make a beeline and ask them lots of questions because we were desperate as we raised our boys. So be someone who's very open to getting advice from others. That draws out the good bit in them. And that relates to the last thing, which is call out the good in a person. If they have something they're good at, they're skilled at, they do well, you see it about them, then name that thing and say, yeah, I've noticed that you're so kind to people. I love that about you. What is it do you think that makes that such an important part of who you are? And people are kind of a bit blown away at first when they hear that, but you've spoken words of truth, words of life, words of affirmation, but also it's going to open up the secrets of the heart as well in that moment.
And then if you're trying to get into the more spiritual conversations, that we've got three main ways that you can do that. The first one is ask great questions. The second one is tell inspiring stories. And the third one is offer to pray for them. So the first one with the questions, we've got a whole list of questions that you can ask. And maybe, so some of these questions are, tell me about your spiritual journey. Or what would you describe, or would you describe yourself as a spiritual person? Or have you ever had a spiritual experience? That's an interesting one. Or how has such and such an experience changed your the way you look at God or affected the way you look at God? Or if you could ask God one question, what would that be and why that question? And another question that I often ask different people is maybe in my quiet time, I'm praying for different people. And so I'll say, so-and-so, I'm praying for you today. Is there anything specific I can pray for you for? Who doesn't love that? So that's questions. Second one, sharing stories. So just sharing the stuff that God has done for you. I remember a while ago we were with some friends, it's actually a Hindu couple, we were talking about how we'd moved with our kids when they were sort of high school, middle school age. And this mum said, wasn't that tough on your kids? And I was going, yes, it was. But then I went into the reasons behind why we'd moved and how actually I felt God might have given me this picture, and God made it quite clear this was the path we were supposed to go down. And that for us, we believe that if God's going to call you, excuse me, to do something, then he's going to equip you and he's going to pave the way, which doesn't mean it's going to be perfect, but he sort of got you. So I was just sort of sharing some of that and our journey and what it had been like, the good and the bad. And you could just see as I was sharing, she was just sort of open and her heart was sort of drawn. And sometimes you notice that in other people. But by sharing, this is how I dealt with this is how Jesus helped me. I was this, then Jesus did this, and now I'm this. Those sorts of things, the stories that Jesus has done, the difference that he's made, I think can be compelling and powerful. And then the third one, can I pray for you, which we've talked about before and we always continue to do. So if something good is happening in someone's life, a new baby or a new home or a new job or anything, I'd love to pray blessing on that. Would it be okay? And again, how many people are going to turn you down? And then if something's going bad, so somebody's sick or depressed or anxious or just struggling with something, say, I'd love to pray for you in this situation. Would that be okay?
That's very good. So as we kind of pull this together, we want to remind you it's critical if you want to be effective on mission for Jesus, you've got to learn to listen to the person. You've got to learn to listen to people with a heart of love and a tenderness, drawing out what's in them, so you really start to help them uncover what's going on in their lives, and that creates a pathway where you can start to have more and more profound spiritual conversations and eventually spiritual conversations, and hopefully even a salvation conversation with people as you go. So in order to help you with this, we've got 2 pieces of homework for you this time. So homework, the first thing in your homework is this. What we'd like you to do is to memorize a few of these questions that we've given you for some of the different pivot points in your conversation. So I think if you struggle with just casual conversation, get a couple of questions down there. Certainly as you get into more meaningful conversation, and then how do you ask more spiritual conversation questions? So you can take some of the examples we've given or write your own, but I think it's super helpful to have a couple that you just know, that are memorized, which will feel a bit funky and clunky at first, but what it does is it gives you a default to work off, a template to work off, and then as you get more confident, you will innovate and you'll come up with other ways of doing things in those situations. So intentionally choose a few questions now, write them down, memorize them. The second piece of homework is this. What we want you to do is to ask the Holy Spirit for opportunities this week to have some profound conversations, and then in particular pray, Holy Spirit, would you coach me in those moments? Would you guide me? Would you inspire me and speak to me in those situations, so I learn how to be a better question asker and better listener as I'm serving you out on mission?
And I think if you, particularly with those questions, you have some specific questions which you've either done or heard, which you think would be helpful, which we've not listed, we're always on the lookout for, again, those practical questions to give as examples. So if you have those, let us know. We would gladly receive them.
Fantastic. Okay, well, God bless you. Have fun with this, and we look forward to being with you again soon.